Hello, my loves. Welcome to the 78 Deep Course Prep Week. I'm so excited to have you here and to be joining us for the course. Now, Prep Week is exactly what it sounds like. This is where we come together, we get prepared. I share with you all of the materials, get you set up, talk about the idea of what we're doing, the framework of how we're going to move through it, give you all the resources you need to set yourself up for success before we start studying the cards. So I really encourage you not to skip this step. It's going to be really important. We're going to have a lot of fun. And I'm going to flip you around so I can show you the guide. We're going to talk about decks and journals and all that fun stuff. So I'll see you down there.
Hello, my loves, and welcome. I am so excited that you're here. We're going to be talking about basically everything you need to know to get set up to start studying the cards within the 78 Deep Challenge course. I'm not going to delay us any longer. Let's just dive in. If you feel like you're missing a little bit of information, I filmed a new intro video, which you can see over there, but let's get into it. Let's talk about basic supplies. For the 78 Deep Tarot course, you're going to need a tarot deck of your choosing. I'm going to be mainly talking about Rider-Waite Smith based decks because that is the system that I'm most familiar with. However, I'm not going to explicitly be giving too many card definitions. So if you're working with a different system, feel free to adjust whatever I say to fit the system that you are working with. But I'm going to be using the White Newman Tarot for our demonstrations because it is so elementally based, and we'll get into why that matters in a moment. But whatever deck you choose to use is perfectly okay. You do not have to buy a specific deck. The only other material that you're really going to need is a journal of some sort. And this can be a composition book. This can be your regular journal that you're writing in. This can be a specifically dedicated tarot study book. Whatever it is you want to jot your daily reflections down in. But I encourage you to give yourself ample room to journal and to get acquainted with that. And I'm going to talk about some options for that in a moment. One material that you're going to want to have that I provide for you is the 78 Deep Download Guide. This is going to have everything that I'm going to go over in this preparatory week video contained within it so that you are really set up for success when you're studying your cards. I'm going to go through this with you. We're going to talk about the different pages. I'm going to let it lead us through the different aspects of the challenge. If at any point you have, course. I used to call it a challenge. You may hear that slip up as we go. If you have any questions at any point, please leave them below or send them to me in an email, and I will be happy to answer those for you. Let's dive in. So the 78 Deep Tarot course is a study course designed to help you study the structure of tarot and yourself at the same time. And leading us through this idea of that concept is the King of Swords and the Hermit. The Hermit is very self-reflective, focused on yourself, your view of the world, how it is that you see things, how it is that you bring in those intuitive messages, intuitive guidance, all of that beautiful stuff that it's associated with tarot, right? And then the King of Swords is the structure holder, is the strategist. He is here for us this time to represent the structure of tarot and encourage us to zoom out and to look at the structure of tarot. Now, why is this important? In order to effectively give intuitive readings, we need to understand the structure of tarot. And there are times along our tarot learning journey where we may have learned the structure of tarot in a way that's not exactly supporting the way that we're trying to read the cards now. So if you're a beginner, this is for you. And if you're more advanced, this is for you. And I have some adjustments in our daily reflections based on your skill level that's really going to help you take it deeper. But learning or relearning or reorienting our understanding of the structure of tarot is really key to helping us use our intuitive gifts to channel our messages better. So let's talk about setting the tone. When you're choosing to engage with this course, how much you put into this course is totally up to you. I'm providing you with everything you need to study each and every card, right, over the next 13 weeks. But the amount of time, the amount of effort, the amount of depth that you want to put into this is totally up to you. So your first task in your preparatory tools is to decide how deeply would you like to commit to this course. Is this something that you just kind of want to dabble in? You want to dabble in intuitively, you want to kind of study cards as they come up, and you're not really excited by the idea of a structured study, you just kind of want to dabble. Maybe that's you. Or maybe you prefer weekly study where you're going to sit down with 1 or 2 or 3 cards and you're going to really take some time to dive deep into those 3 cards for your weekly study, and that's going to be the level of commitment that you put in. Or you would want to go all in and you're going to study 1 card per day and go through all 78. That is up to you. You hold the gas pedal and the brake. You know your life better than I do. And the idea is that we are enriching our tarot study in a way that's exciting for us, that's enriching for us, and that's sustainable with the life that we live. So if you generally do your practice once a week, you can push yourself to do it every day if you want to take on that habit building for yourself, but don't set an idea of perfection and then quit because you weren't able to reach that, right? We don't want to discourage ourselves. We want to encourage ourselves and to be our best advocates. So you're going to choose a voyage style, a play style, a course style that is suited to you. And there's a space here in the guide for you to outline that. I've also kind of outlined those 3 options that I just mentioned, so you can dive into that. And then some messages about being careful not to get into that all or nothing mentality and the fact that you're in charge. Here we have this cute little prep list for you, which is everything that we're going over in the video today. So we're going to talk about choosing your style and your commitment level, which we just did. Understanding your guides, which we just talked about a little bit. Setting your intentions, how you'd like to document choosing your deck, chewing your cards, my goodness, choosing your deck and pulling cards from your guides for encouragement. Now, throughout this course, I would love to see what you are doing. If you are joining us between the dates of March 13th and the beginning of June, there will be a special dedicated group chat on Instagram where you can choose to join if you like. I will put you in there and we can all sit in community, get excited about what each other's using, ask questions, all that fun stuff. If you're not into the chat thing or you're participating in the challenge after that initial experience, you are welcome to send me something directly in an email, or you can share on socials using the hashtag 78deep or tagging me at Leanne Aligned. That works on both YouTube and Instagram, and I will be able to see it and get excited about your journey. There's a space on this particular page within the guide for you to make some notes about the ways that you want to document your journey and the decks that you're thinking about choosing, etc., which again we'll talk about shortly. The next page has your intentions and journaling prompts. So these are some journaling prompts to help you kind of flush out both intuitively where you feel that this journey is taking you, but also set some intentions of what it is you desire to get out of this journey. So for instance, since we're looking at both the wisdom that you hold within yourself, so that intuitive aspect of tarot, and also the structural aspect of tarot, there's a reflection question for each of those. So what's my current relationship with the energy of the King of Swords, aka structure and strategy? What is my current relationship with the energy of the Hermit, the wisdom that I hold within myself? What am I hoping to learn about myself on this journey? What am I hoping to learn about tarot on this journey? What cards do I already know that I'd like to expand my view on, if any? That's going to be really key for those of you who are not new to tarot and who are joining us at more of that intermediate level. That's going to be a key question for you. And then the last one is, how can I keep myself supported, excited, and engaged throughout this adventure? Remember, I was talking about keeping yourself excited and keeping that momentum rolling in whatever capacity that you have right now. So those are there for you to answer. And then we have this page which talks about the guides and pulling some messages from them. And then we get into the daily reflection. So before we get into that, I want to talk about choosing your deck. Now, when we journey through the cards, different decks hold different depictions of each of the stories that are contained within the card. There are some similarities across different decks, and there are some decks that have cards that widely deviate from other decks. If you are new to tarot, I don't want you to worry about any of the stuff that I'm about to say. You are going to choose a deck that is calling for you, that the imagery looks intriguing to you, and you are going to complete your journey using that one deck, if that's all you have. When you're starting out, it's super helpful just to focus on one thing that's already calling your name and build from there. If you are not new to tarot and you're doing this as an intermediate player, my invitation to you is to choose a deck that you either know really well and would like to open up your idea and understanding of the cards within, or a deck that you are struggling with, that you would like to come to a deeper understanding of. The reason that this is because when we are studying the tarot, we can get really stuck in this card means this. Especially when we're first starting, we're first learning, all we can remember is a couple of keywords. The story gets lost because we're so hyper-focused on this card means X. The beautiful thing about different decks is that, like I said a minute ago as I was looking for this card, some decks really deviate in their depictions. For instance, we see the Three of Swords here with two characters in it, which is very untraditional. We also have the Devil, which is a very untraditional depiction. And we have the Eight of Cups, which doesn't have any cups in it at all, which is also a different depiction. And I love this deck because it is enough of the traditional symbolism that we can connect our current understanding with the card. But there's also enough things that are new within the image to get us thinking in a different direction, to kind of open up our scope, our understanding of the cards. As I said, this is the White Newman Tarot. This is a mass-produced deck. It's very, very readily available in multiple countries. It's quite affordable. If you are interested in this deck, I will leave an Amazon affiliate link down below, but you are not required to use this deck. I'm just going to encourage you to use something that's going to push you a little bit. The flip side of that, like I said, is you can choose a deck that you know really well that you want to get out of a rut with. Say you have a deck that you always read with. For me, it's the Haunted House Tarot. I know that deck like the back of my hand, but I can sometimes get stuck because I use it all the time. So there are certain cards that I only associate with one thing. So if you want to encourage yourself to break out of that box and try to look at those cards in a new way, you can do that as well. That's up to you. As you choose your deck, I would love to see it. I think that's one thing we all love seeing, is what decks that each other is going to use. You can also get wild and crazy and choose a deck for each element. I'm going to talk about the elements in a second, and that'll make a little more sense. But you do you. Okay, so your journal. Like I said, you can use whatever journal is calling your name. You can use a composition book. You can use loose leaf paper. You can do this on the computer. You can use whatever you have. The only thing that you're going to need is a book that has enough pages or space in it for you to be able to answer the questions. This particular journal is one that I bought from a bookstore several years ago, and I'm just now kind of letting myself use it. But this is my personal mystical journal. Like, it's just a catch-all, and that is always a good option that I love. If you're looking for a specific journal, say you want all of your study notes in one place, or you really want to go deep with one specific deck and you want just a little journal to do that with, this is a great option. This deck is a KDP print-on-demand journal that is created by my lovely friend Anna, who is from Anna, and she participated with us in the 78 Deep Challenge last year. And we kind of got together and we're talking about, wouldn't it be nice to have a journal where we could document all of our tarot studies or thoughts or musings or aha moments or stories around each card, all in kind of one little portable place. And I was like, I need this in my life. And Anna made it. So she calls this her tarot tome. Again, you do not need this, but if you want this, it's really fun. And I will be using this for mine. You can see I've already kind of gotten in here a little bit. So all this is a journal with a double page spread for each and every single card within the tarot. There are pages separating the elements, so you can take extra notes on there if you want. And you have the depiction of the traditional RWS card on the right-hand side, and a box that's highlighted for keywords or perhaps phrases that you really want to stand out as you are studying the cards. And as an example, this is one of the pages that I started. This is the Magician. So you'll see here, I'm working on studying the astrological symbols and associations that go with the cards. So I have that kind of written down for myself. Magician is associated with Mercury. I have a little bit of notes about Mercury. I have the air element because the Magician is an air card. We'll get into that in a second. And then I just have a phrase that I came up with myself, to me, that speaks of the energy of the Magician. And I will have my notes continuing about the card as we go. Here's the Fool, etc., etc. There's the plate intro in the front, and then in the back, there's a space to kind of jot down and keep track of wish list or the decks that you have. And I have this in another place, which I'm excited to transfer. But that is an option for you. I'll leave that linked below. You don't have to purchase this, but if you're looking for something like this, it now exists, which makes me so happy, and I'll be using this. So I wanted to put that in there. So thank you to Anna for creating that for us. Moving into the actual like card study aspects. You heard me mentioning the elements. As we study the cards, I'm going to be putting out a video at the start of each element where we're going to be talking about our focus for that element, the card that embodies the idea of that focus, And then we're going to be studying each of the cards within that element on our own. So if you're in the course hub, each time I introduce a new element, there will be a brand new video talking about that element, outlining all the things for you. I will also do my best to send out an email to let you know when that has gone live. We are starting with the element of air. So what is this going to look like? Each day or week, depending, you are going to study the cards for that element. Altogether on the first day, we will study the one card that I've pulled out that embodies the idea of what we're studying within that element. But other than that, you will study the other cards on your own. And I have this beautiful little printout here for you to help you do that. So you are actually going to choose your own card order. I have set out the element that you're going to work within. I have set out the first card for you, and then it is up to you to choose what cards you study after that. If you would like to study a card one per day, there are monthly calendars that I've put together for each element. So you can go ahead, fill out the calendar as it will be for the months that you're working with. So for instance, we're starting air at the end of March. So this would probably be like the last week of March, and then you would map out the rest of April and fill in what cards you plan to study what day. Or if you're doing it just weekly, you can do it weekly. Whatever it is that you want to do, these resources are here for you. But what you'll do is you'll either choose to study all the cards. You can go through it in the order that I have laid out here. Or you can choose your own order. Or you can separate out the elements. So say you take all of the air cards, and then each day as you study, you'll shuffle, pull an air card. This is not an air card, but you'll pull an air card, study that card, set it to the side, and then the next day you'll have the rest of the air cards. Do that until you have no cards left. That is all personal preference. It is totally up to you. If you're like, Leanne, that is way too much work for me. It is way too confusing. Just tell me what to do. Here's your card order. Okay. When you are studying the cards, the real magic within this course is within the daily card reflection prompts. And now I'm saying daily, I'm going to continue to say daily, but if you're doing it weekly, just adjust for that. We're going to look at our card. So here we have the star. And we're going to look at answering 3 different reflection questions. So we're going to first look at the wisdom of the hermit, which is the piece of the card that's speaking to us today. So looking inside myself, what is alive for me at this moment when I look at the card? So looking at this card, this works whether you know what this card means or you've never seen this card before in your life. You're going to look at the card. You're going to see what feeling, what kind of innate wisdom it evokes within you. What does it make you feel? What does it make you think? What are you noticing within the card? And how is that related to where you are right now in your physical life? Okay? That is the wisdom of the hermit. It's the wisdom of you, the intuitive spark that comes from the card. What is it about this card that's standing out to you today, and how is that connected to your experience? Reflection question number 2 is zooming out. So this is where we begin looking at the structure of tarot. We're going to be looking at where is this card in the structure, and what does that tell me about it? So for instance, this is the card of the star. This is a major arcana card. This is the star card, which is an air card. So it's in the element of air. That means that it is focused on the elements of air. So matters of the mind, communication, ideas, and thought. It is also a major arcana card, which means we know it deals with larger themes, it deals with the ether, the spiritual side of things. We can look at the other elements that are brought into and introduced within the card based on the imagery. So for here we have the water element. So we look at the water element. What does that have to do with? Oh, that just emotions, relationships, matters of the heart, intuition. Okay, so I'm marrying my intuition with my mind. You see how we're kind of making those connections? So what does the structure of tarot, what does the major arcana, minor arcana, court card, what does that have to say about it? What does the element have to say about it? And then where are you in the sequence of that? So this is card number 17. 17 is towards the end. If we're looking at things from 1 to whatever number in a progression, right, would be 21 for the major arcana. In that progression, where are we at on their journey? What does that tell me about this card? This is, again, like I said, this is zooming out. This is structured. This is looking at it from a bird's eye view of, okay, if this is a singular card in a whole array of cards, what is this telling me about that card? What does the structure tell me about the meaning of the card, even if I don't know anything about the card? And if you do know things about the card, I really encourage you not to skip this step because it's going to really help you expand your understanding of the cards, especially the ones that trip you up, okay? Our last reflection question is, what is the larger story? So what is the theme of the story that the card touches upon? From a neutral space, what aspects of life experience is this card referring to? This is where we begin to take the story of the card and break it away from just the one key word that we remember. For instance, here's the Two of Pentacles. When I think of this card, I think of balance, or in balance, out of balance. Generally, this is work-life balance when we think about that. But what is it that is really going on in this story? What is the larger story beyond those keywords? Well, the story is that there is an aspect of juggling, right? There is something that is being balanced with something else. And taking that out even further, balance doesn't mean equal balance. It doesn't have to be in balance or out of balance. It is a fluid motion. If we think of juggling, right? There is this up and down and left and right, and sometimes things drop and we just pick them back up. It is this dynamic aspect of moving within our lives, of working between one thing and another, or even more than one thing and another, and making sure that we give our energy and our time to all aspects, not perhaps evenly all at once, but in some type of harmonious way that keeps that infinity loop going back and forth. So it's not about perfection. It's not about perfect balance. It's about the infinite dance of life within our material world, our physical body, our daily life, and our work. Because that's what the pentacles represent, right? So we're taking this really large, abstract idea of what this card gets to mean, which opens up this idea of, okay, based on the other cards, what is that telling me? What does adding this card to this card, what kind of story does that paint? Now, I'm going a little off topic. This is the next step, right? Past learning what the story of the card is how cards interact. But for this course, we're just focused on what is the story of this card. And if you already understand the story of the card, is there something that you can see in this particular deck, in this particular interpretation, in a particular book, in the imagery that can add to and expand that idea of that, right? Here in this card in particular, we also have the white Newman and the black Newman, which deals with the light and shadow side. So now we're looking at the light and the dark. Now we're looking at, perhaps there's this idea of shadow work that's being invited in, where yes, we have the material world, the physical world, the body, it has to do with our material world, but perhaps we're bringing some of that moon energy in there, or bringing that Gemini, dual mind, intuition, intellect, underworld journey in through these, and expanding this idea of, okay, now we get to play with our relationship with balance. Now we get to play with the idea of balancing light and dark aspects of us. Again, shedding that idea of perfectionism. What does that look like? Even as I'm speaking about this and I'm sharing this example, I'm only touching on certain aspects, right? There's so much more that could be contained within this card. So this particular question really is for the more intermediate and advanced readers, for us to begin to break apart this idea of what the card is and expand it for us to enhance our readings. But if you're a beginner, okay, let me back it up a little. If you're a beginner and everything I just said, you were like, wow, like I'm a little overwhelmed, I'm slightly confused, I'm excited, I don't know how to get there. The way that you get there is through study. This is the way to increase your tarot knowledge, is to do the study. So you're in the right place. If you are totally new to tarot, you're just going to focus on learning the basics. You don't need to know everything that there is to know about every single card. You just need to start building that tiny first brick layer foundation of what your understanding is. So making sure that you tune into more of those teaching aspects, the elemental aspects. I'm going to have a bonus video for us that's going to go over the structure of tarot itself, so we get a better understanding of those majors, minors, and court cards, as I was talking about. But making sure that you understand the foundation. And then for your zooming out, you may just start with what's the element, what's the number, and what group does it belong to? Not focusing so much on what do all those things make it mean or how is it associated with it, but just getting familiar with, okay, so let me pull this out. Okay, the star, 17. I know because it's in that larger number group. This is a major arcana card. Okay, great. Let me go here, major arcana. We're in the air suit, so I know it's air. Okay, great. That has to do with this. It's 17. If the numbers go up to 21, then it's at the end. Like, that's all you need to know, right? And I know that sounds like a lot, but as you start to get the rhythm of it, that'll be really easy to recall. And then when you get to the story aspect, if you want to dive into that, all you need to do is write down a few keywords or phrases from the book that stand out to you. This is how you start learning and start building your foundation. Is you're going to take a card, you're going to read the definition of it in the guidebook. Some guidebooks, you're going to have like one sentence. Like, here's the White Newman guidebook. This thing is short and sweet, especially with the minors. So let's look. 2 Pentacles. Where are the Pentacles? 2 opposing sacred dogs, half buried, jungle with entwined pentacles. A seemingly never-ending battle for balance. An agile and playful approach are required to juggle tasks. Short, sweet. You would just pick out whichever one of those things kind of stood out to you. Maybe you just want to write down juggling tasks. Battle for balance, like the end, right? That is all you need to remember. If you have a larger guidebook, some guidebooks, and I don't have any next to me, they are like this, right? They're like a book, and there's going to be like 3 pages worth of information, and you're going to be like, holy shit. Just read the description and write down, like I said, 1 or 2 keywords or 1 sentence that stands out to you, and start there. Okay. This particular rendition of the challenge is geared towards my more intermediate people. But it is perfect for you beginners as well, because we are starting with the foundation. So if I'm talking about at any point things that you're like, what? It's okay. You'll get there. Feel free to ask questions. If you're brand new, I'm going to encourage you to get some type of supplemental tarot guidebook. I'll leave a recommendation for one that I always recommend to beginners below. I believe it's called the Guided Tarot. I don't have it next to me either. But that's just going to help you have all this information there so that you can reference it really easily and get started with it. So let me recap. Oh, and actually, before we recap, the last thing that you're going to do, once you have gathered together all of your materials, once you have chosen your deck, you got your journal, you decided your commitment level, you've joined our community space, all that fun stuff, and you're like, okay, tomorrow's the day, I'm going to start, we're ready to start studying the cards. You're going to take your deck and pull 2 cards. The first card that you're going to pull is what within you is coming forward to be explored along your journey. This is a message from the Hermit. So what within you is coming forward to be explored along your journey? And this is in the guide, so don't worry. Second card you are going to pull is a message from the King of Swords. And this message is what within the tarot is coming forward to be explored along your journey. What within the tarot is coming forward to be explored along your journey. And if you're brand new to tarot and you pull this out and you're like, I don't understand, it's okay. Write down the card that you got. Write down whatever stood out for me for the guidebook for that card. And we're going to move forward and continue to build your knowledge together. Okay? That is all I have for you today, my loves. That is our intro material. If you have any questions, please let me know down below. If you are watching this on YouTube for some reason and not in the course hub, there's a link below for you to join our course hub so you can get this guide and all of that fun stuff. I will leave for you linked, in case you are interested in checking them out, the White Newman Tarot deck as well as the Tarot Tome Journal by From Anna, which you may or may not choose to have accompany you on your journey. If you are looking to join our Instagram community, please send me a message on Instagram at Leanne Aligned and let me know that that's what you're interested in, and I will put you in that private message group where we can start sharing about all the things. And until next week, my loves, when we start our official tarot study, I hope you are well. I'm so excited and honored that you've joined me for this course. I hope that you get so much out of this, and I will see you again very soon. Take care, my loves.